All right, we're going to take a look at the World War II fighting in Europe. Tomorrow we'll look at fighting in the Pacific. Remember, World War, they're fighting literally all over the world. Okay, so to start off here, remember back in World War I, it was all trench fighting. Okay, now France, who got really beat down during World War I, thought, there's no way we're going to get beat in this trench warfare again. So what they do is they start building this kind of trenches on crack, on steroids. All right, you could see these deep trenches dug in the ground between the border of Germany and France. It's called the Maginot Line. All right, now again, this isn't fighting like World War I. So what do the Germans do? They just go around it. All right. Yeah, you can see here, this is what's on top, these pillboxes, okay, where they'd have heavy artillery, and this is all underground. I mean, it's kind of like a gerbil house, okay. But again, it doesn't work well because it's a new type of fighting, okay. Blitzkrieg is something that no one was really ready for at all, okay. So, and these are, a lot of this stuff is still in France, okay, because again, they built this between World War I and World War II, all right. June 1940, France gives in to the Germans. You can see Hitler posting a picture here, kind of like an Instagram, gotcha moment. You think about if they took a picture in front of the Statue of Liberty. This is kind of the big middle finger to the rest of the world. We took France. We took Paris. What are you going to do about it? Okay. Now, Hitler pretty much has most of Western Europe at this time, and the only one that's left is Great Britain. Okay. So the Battle of Britain is when Germany is going to try and invade and take over the British Isles. Okay, you can see them. They're the only ones left. They're alone. Okay, so what happens with here is the Germans are going to try to attack the British Isles. Okay, and really take the rest of Western Europe. So the Battle of Britain, the summer 1940, the Germans are getting ready to attack Great Britain. All right, they come over bombing major British targets as much as they can, heavy bombing day and night. Okay, as much as they could to really pound the British into the ground. Okay, the British again are getting supplies from us. All right, remember Lend-Lease and cash and carry. They're using new radar techniques, technology to shoot down a lot of these German planes. And because it's not going as well as they thought, as Hitler thought, Hitler calls off a land invasion. Okay, Britain was able to kind of hold their own. I mean, it's kind of like the game of tug of war, and it's just kind of holding on, and Britain's the last one left, and then the United States is going to enter after Pearl Harbor. Okay, so you can see 9 months of this heavy bombing, okay, of Britain, London Bridge, major sites in England being bombed day and night. Okay, you can see the people, the British people in subway stations, cities just in ruins. Just a pretty crazy stuff. I mean, because this is London. I mean, this is one of the most heavy populated, educated cities in the world, and it's just getting pounded to the ground. Okay, so at this time here, the blue is everything that Germany has control over. All right, pretty much most of Western Europe, except for a few, a few neutral countries. Okay, but they pretty much have control over just about everything. Okay, until the United States comes in. All right. Now, here's a close-up of that. And it's even going into northern Africa, parts of Russia. Okay, now the biggest mistake, Hitler's biggest mistake. Now, what happens? Remember the non-aggression pact. Germany and the Soviet Union signed this deal. All right, we hate each other. Screw you, yeah. But you know what? Let's just agree not to attack each other, and let's just kind of divide up the world as we see fit. Well, the biggest mistake Hitler makes in terms of the war is going to be invading the Soviet Union. Okay. Because once he invades the Soviet Union, it's kind of he bites off more than he could chew. And this is where things are going to really turn on Hitler, okay, and push back into Germany. Okay, You can see now he's getting strangled from all ends, and now he has a two-front war like World War I, and it's super hard to fight a war on both sides of your country. All right, so Hitler wants to capture these oil fields, go into Stalingrad, you know, the major city in the Soviet Union. Okay, and the Germans aren't ready for these bitter Russian winters. You can see the death tolls, and now this is the turning point. This is the turning point in World War II as far as Europe is concerned. The Soviet army is now starting to push the Germans back. Okay, now from this point, before this, I mean, Germany's going and going and going and going. This is the turning point that things are going back to Germany. Okay, and we'll look at some of these videos tomorrow in class. All right, so now if they're coming in this way, now from the other side with France, remember France is controlled by the Nazis, and they're starting to plan an invasion to push from the west. Okay, now here's Great Britain. Okay, here's the English Channel, and what happens? All of this is controlled by the Nazis. All right, all this area here, and the Germans think that this is where the invasion is going to come. Okay, it's the closest distance, all right, between the two countries. So they heavily fortify this, and I'll show you this tomorrow in class. What the British do is they start sending out these fake radio signals. They set up a fake army. I mean, they have the London Theatre Company come in and make like a set. All right, so they're going over the top and they're seeing these this fake, you know, ships and planes and tanks. So the Germans set up camp right here, getting ready for this invasion, which frees up a lot of resources to go where they really go. Okay, in the beaches of Normandy, and we'll watch some stuff in class tomorrow. Okay, so this invasion of Nazi-occupied France happens on D-Day, June 6th, 1944. All right, so this is when the United States, Canada, Great Britain, other Allied countries are going to cross the English Channel, okay, and come in and free France. All right. Now, there's over 1 million Allied soldiers in Europe, and they're starting to march towards Germany. Okay, so now they're coming. The Soviets are coming from the east. The Allied, led by the Americans and the British, are coming from the west. All right, they're coming up from the bottom, from Italy, because Italy is being, you know, defeated, and really things are just closing in on Hitler. Okay, here's those inflatable tanks. You can see the guys standing up and carrying them, and I'll show you some cool stuff tomorrow when we look at this more. Okay, now D-Day, again, the biggest amphibious water operation ever in world history. But once we have these beaches, now we can really get stuff from England to Germany. I mean, Europe. Okay, and we'll look at some of these statistics more. How big this invasion was. All right, and there's future President Eisenhower. Okay. And now we free France, and now we're just marching to Germany. Okay, so we're coming in all angles. The Soviets are coming this way, we're coming this way, we're also coming up this way. Germany's right here and just closing in. All right. The last German offensive, okay, is what becomes known as the Battle of the Bulge. This is Hitler's last hurrah, where we're coming in and we're finally into German territory, and Hitler has an all-out offensive and puts a little dent in our line. So our line's like this, okay, as far as the territory that we've taken, and Hitler comes in and puts a little bulge in it. Okay, that's where it gets the name. We're able to fortify, push back, and after this, it's all downhill. Okay, I mean, this is the last hurrah, all right, for German Hitler's army. Okay, after this, we're coming in. We get an unconditional surrender before Hitler can be taken over. He commits suicide in his bunker. Most of the German military had surrendered on the way to Berlin, the capital, but now it's becoming official. Okay, Eisenhower, the chief general or the main general of the Allied forces, accepts this surrender. And Victory in Europe Day, May 8th, 1945. Now, we're still fighting in Japan. We'll look at that tomorrow. And what's kind of just crazy about this is President Roosevelt dies about 3.5 weeks before Germany surrenders. I mean, he has a brain hemorrhage and dies, which is just kind of crazy. This guy's been president, Great Depression, New Deal, World War II, and he dies 3 weeks before Germany surrenders. Okay, and we have a new president, Harry Truman, which we'll look at tomorrow, has to make some pretty tough decisions. All right, so Nazis give up, the war in Europe is done, and now we have to look to Japan and the Pacific. All right, and that's where we'll come in tomorrow, and have a good day.